I believe this week we will likely see a significant uptick in COVID infections in our state. It's possible that the rate of increase could become much faster this week, given we know how much intermixing there was of different people over the Thanksgiving break.
Now at 8 o'clock on this Wednesday, we're watching the numbers of coronavirus cases here in Arizona. This morning, people flocking to testing sites after the long holiday weekend tests.
Right now, the city of Tempe is offering free COVID-19 testing. So we want to check in with Kylie, who is live with more on what the mayor is saying in that city. Good morning, Kylie.
Good morning. That testing opens up right now. We are here just a little bit to the west of ASU. We've got the Mayor Corey Woods joining me this morning to talk a little bit about this testing blitz. Today and tomorrow you're testing here at this facility. Why was it important to you to open up free testing right after Thanksgiving?
I think because it's critical that people get themselves tested to ensure the health and well-being of not only themselves, but their friends, family, and coworkers. I tell people all the time, this today is going to be my fourth test. I actually had COVID about 4 days before I got sworn in, which was on July 2nd. And so even though this conversation's about, well, maybe you've got active antibodies or maybe you can't get it again, this is still a very kind of newly discovered virus that we're learning more and more about every day. So I'm still continuing to get tested to make sure that I'm safe and I'm not carrying to someone else around me. So I would say, even for someone who's had it, I'm still making sure that I'm coming out and doing this. So especially if you haven't had it, and there can be people who are asymptomatic carriers. I think that's how I probably got it, being around people who didn't know that they had it at the time, weren't feeling any necessary symptoms, but still were somehow carrying it. So I think it's critically important that you come down. It's a completely non-invasive test. We've got over 300 people registered to come down today, and I'm sure we'll also get a few walk-ins off the street. But we would encourage people to register and come down, and you can get your results probably within 48 to 72 hours.
This is a test that you guys are using with ASU. ASU created this test. You've
Absolutely.
got it out in front of me. We're not going to ask for your saliva live on TV. But
that would be pretty awkward, actually.
Yeah,
but I
that would be.
it.
How does that work then?
So, honestly, more or less, this might be too much information for those at home, but you basically just open this up, you take the straw out, and you sort of more or less drool into the straw until it fills it up. They always sort of tell you they want to make sure that you're not putting a lot of bubbles in. It really needs to be more kind of drooling as if you were an infant. But granted, it's a much easier test than like the nasal swabs, which many people find to be very invasive. So after about 5 minutes, you've left enough saliva in here, and as I said, probably within about 48 to 72 hours, you could expect to get a result back.
Let's talk about Tempe. We know that you guys have a wide area. We are here in the northwest part of Tempe. Mm-hmm. Is this one of the areas that's been hit hardest? What have you guys seen as far as trends go over the last month?
This is definitely one of the areas where we've been hit hardest. It's actually the zip code in which I live. I live about probably 5 minutes walking distance from the site we're currently at today. So this is very critically important from my perspective, not just as mayor, but on a personal level as someone who's actually had COVID-19. So the reality is, we have seen more cases here, but we've seen a rise in cases throughout the state of Arizona and clearly throughout the entire country. And so I think it's critically important if you've got a non-invasive test, and we've partnered with the nation's largest public university in being able to provide it, that people take a few minutes out of their day, come down and get tested. If you've been around people and you've been within, not within 6 feet of someone, and you've been there for more than 15 minutes and you're not wearing a mask, there's always that chance you could have been exposed and you might be an asymptomatic carrier. So for the purposes of making sure to keep yourself safe, I've got an 81-year-old father who lives in Ahwatukee. I have to make sure that I keep him safe. And I've got a brother who lives in Virginia that I'm not going to see for Christmas this year, that I haven't seen in over a year, because we're trying to make sure that we're not traveling and we're keeping ourselves safe and those around us. So I think the thing is, come down and get your test, but also make sure as the holidays approach, people in my own family, myself, we are sacrificing. And we would ask a lot of people, if they can, to make that sacrifice with us, to not travel if you can obviously avoid it. Stay home as much as you can, wear your mask, appropriately social distance, and come down and get a test.
And you can get the test today and tomorrow. They're also doing testing Tuesdays at this location here as well. They've seen more than a 25% increase in cases in Tempe over the last month. So this is something that they're doing, trying to get more people tested.